Welcome to AtHome Magazine's Designer Insight Roundtable discussion with landscapers, landscape designers, and landscape architects. We are discussing eco-friendly landscape design, planting, and what we all can do to preserve our natural ecosystems in the gardens and landscapes we design.
We have the power to manage the issue.
This roundtable was designed to answer the many questions we receive from our readers with regard to eco-friendly landscape design and gardens in this particular area of the Northeast. And we are sitting here today with these influential professionals to help us better understand what issues we face. What is the best way to, quote unquote, make a statement with landscape design that won't wreak havoc on the environment?
I think we're a design-oriented firm and trying to design to the site as best as possible, to the environment, to the sun, the geography of the site, picking the appropriate plants. The more appropriate you can design to that individual site, the less impact you can have on the environment and minimize your footprint.
It's not that you choose a native or choose an exotic, or it's right plant, right place. And it doesn't matter where that plant came from originally. If it's the right plant in the right place, it's going to save your client money. It's going to reduce pesticide usage. It's going to reduce water usage. It's going to reduce a lot of heartache.
To address your question, respecting the topography is really key as far as not having, your question speaks to wreaking havoc on the site and the environment, and trying to work with the existing terrain as much as possible, work with existing vegetation as much as possible.
It's interesting because there was an Irish designer, William Robinson, who back in 1870, not 1970, but in 1870 was advocating the same thing. And he wrote a book called The Wild Garden, and it really is talking about using native plant materials that are adapted to local environments. So almost more than 100 years ago, it was a theme that's now becoming repopularized.
A lot of times we're asked as landscape architects to work with a preconceived notion of a house design that may have come off a set of plans without respect to the site. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important to start with the land and have that inform the architectural design.
That we can be involved in even the smallest detail where the pipes are coming out. Because if you're an architect, you're not always thinking about what's happening right outside of the walls, and we are. So
right.
It will save the client so much
It's less
money
disruptive.
And we'd like to have some influence over where decks are going to go, where patios are going to go, where pools are going to go, just so we can position them in the best places so that we can place the plants in the right places to accommodate those spaces.
Right.
Okay, it makes a difference where we're going to put the geothermal wells, because we're not going to be able to plant around there, the
right.
septic and
right.
decks and all that. So the sooner we can be brought in, the better for everybody.
What are the most environmentally friendly plantings that are deer-proof? Is it boxwood, or are there other things?
Deer-proof?
Deer-proof.
There's almost
The non-existent
Misnomer.
Okay, so
and I think the more
deer-proof.
that it's used, the more people think that it is out there, that I can come up with an entire palette for your property that's deer-proof, and it's just not true. If you want beautiful plantings and a great selection, just put in fencing.
Okay.
and or spray.
That will deer-proof you.
That's really the way to go. And the deer problem is our problem. We created it. We created the ideal habitat for them, which is the breaks in the forest, and they love edge habitat, and they are very happy here. We took away their predators, and we stopped hunting.
Right.
And so we've created the problem, and really we need to advocate hunting. I know that might not be a popular point of view among some readers, but we created the problem. We have the power to manage the issue. The deer do cause a lot of problems with vehicle accidents and damage to our work. Millions of dollars.
The worst part about it is also Lyme disease,
Yeah.
which is something
And
that
health issues.
for us being on the field all day long, you have to,
Yeah.
I tested positive 3 times for Lyme disease. But, what am I going to do? I got to be outside no matter what. You can always fence a house or spray it, like Mike said, but what about the rest?
There are a few,
I-
though,
I
right?
think-
There are a few deer-safe plants. I mean,
There are.
Pyrus,
Yeah.
There's some grasses and ferns and.
Grass
And there are
and
things that
ferns.
they like less, I think, is
Right.
the key, is
Right.
finding
They
things
like-
that the deer like less.
Why? And what's the best lush green shrub that is environmentally friendly and deer like less to replace our beloved boxwood?
Well, as a designer, boxwoods have a long history. People know boxwoods, lay people know boxwoods, and you can do sculptural shapes, hedges, rounded shapes. I don't think there is a easy replacement to boxwoods.
Okay.
Because they've been used for hundreds of years in formal gardens, informal gardens, and there's some practical alternatives, maybe taxus hedges if you want a crisp architectural hedge. A lot of the different hollies, and we're opening up to those, but it's still a little bit of a struggle because some of the most beautiful landscapes you've probably seen are heavy on boxwoods.
Right.
Someone had said before about the right plant in the right place, and that's true with the boxwood too. The less stress it's under, the better the soil is amended and prepared, the more likely that it's going to do well. Usually with boxwood blight, that'll show up in about 7 days.
Okay.
It defoliates, but there's also fungicides to help prevent that, slow it down.
Okay.
Okay, we're still using boxwoods because it is such a foundational plant for back of beds, for foundations, just for these classic homes that we're working on. It's ideal.
And it's probably hard to get your clients who want a particular look to open their minds to something else beyond the boxwood.
And as designers, I think that's part of our role, is to educate clients about what are the opportunities outside of a traditional material, because we're often thinking about texture and color and form, which can be achieved with other things as well. So if you're looking for maybe a blue-green versus a deep green, even mixing blue greens and deep greens, it gives an interesting contrast. And I think if you can show a client something that's interesting and piques their interest, that's a great opportunity for us to move away from things that are a little bit more traditional.
Well, I have 2 points that I was thinking about as we were going around the table. Number one, it's so critical that you know your grower. You have to purchase boxwoods from somebody who's been certified, and nobody guarantees them anymore, but a good grower that you can depend on, that would be the only place anybody here would ever buy a boxwood.
Okay.
Because it would just be too risky. But there's a lot of opportunities, and there's going to always be a blight or a pest or something to force people to keep the rotation with the plants, whether it's in your parterre or your vegetable garden, and that's kind of critical.
And that's something that companies like us that with maintenance, like Mike, you have to fight all the time, because most of the competition that you see, they're trimming boxes. They're not pruning,
Right.
We do it. I know he does it too. We spend the time in training our people on, what's the proper pruning techniques.
Right.
Most of the sometimes you drive by a house, you see a box. I'm sure you open it up. There's nothing inside. It's all dead because it hasn't been pruned properly. There's no air coming in. That's something that.
Like I said, just because you know how to start a hedge trimmer doesn't mean you know how to prune. You need to know a whole lot more than that.
What are some of the eco trends with regard to pools? I almost feel like there are a couple things that we have grown to kind of depend on and really enjoy in terms of leisure, a pool, a beautiful lawn, that might not necessarily be in keeping with eco-friendly times and conservation. What's happening? What are the eco trends in the pool? I mean, I have a chlorine pool. We smell like chlorine in the summertime.
We've been building natural swimming pools for 4 years now.
Right, natural meaning what?
Meaning that there's no chemicals whatsoever. We use plant material and drainage system to clean the water. We keep the good bacteria in. It's a technology that's been in Europe for over 30 years.
Yeah.
We got into it basically by accident, because a client that we do a lot of work in Newtown decided they wanted a swimming pool, but they're from Australia. And her brother, that has been fighting cancer for many, many years, told them, listen, if you're going to build a pool, stay away from chlorine. And they did all the research, got us, into it. And so right away, we got involved. We went to Germany. We went directly to the source and trying to learn, and the moment that we saw it, we fell in love with it, And And we built already 4 in Connecticut. We're studying a new one. And basically it's like an enclosed wetland system where we try to do what nature does on a controlled, site. Once you get to know it, the system is pretty simple, It's green all the way around because we don't need big pumps to run it, low energy pumps, and the results are great. They're not for everybody because if a frog goes into the water, the frog is going to be happily swimming. And we have a pool that we did in near the Connecticut, the Hartford area, where the guy is a doctor and he's a big doctor and didn't want to have his daughter swimming in chlorine. So he opted for this way, and she names the frogs. She knows who they are and where they are. The water's clear is basically what you have is you have your swimming area, and then you need to have what we call a regeneration zone that could be attached to the vessel or could be somewhere else where you don't see it.
Okay.
That normally needs to be about 50% of the area of the swimming area at least.
Okay.
And that's where we do all the drainage system and all the planting material to the filtration. It also has a biofilter that is helping take away some small particles, not very, very small because we want all the good bacteria, and microorganisms to stay there. And also has a system of kind of like skimmers or gutters to take anything that is on the surface, like leaves, pollen, or
Skims that off?
to take it from the top, like you do on a regular swimming pool. But a lot of that is done by gravity. The connection from the swimming vessel to the regeneration zone. We were in one in Germany near Augsburg, and when we got there, this is a community pool that is about 300 people. Most community pools in Germany now are built natural. They've been for the last few years, and one or every other private pool is being natural. So they're way ahead of us.
Wow.
And on this particular one, you see this huge pool with waterfalls and rocks and all, but I didn't see the regeneration zone is behind a hill there because they needed to be so big and they want to maintain it there. So, like I said, it could be right next to it or it could be somewhere else.
What should we be planting to help? Or is that just crazy? Is there no help for this horrible thing that's happening out there with the bees? We need them. They keep things going. Steve, do you want to answer that?
Pollinator gardens have become a lot more popular in the last few years. We've done them at schools, a few schools, and that moves on to the homes. And there's certain plants that we can use in there, echinacea plants, agastache, some grasses, and they're beautiful. And there's a lot of activity, and it's a great way to get the kids involved.
Oh, good idea. So start them young and help them understand that bees are integral to our ecosystem.
Cut back on the pesticides. It's not what you should plant, it's what you should stop spraying.
Okay.
We're killing.
Stop killing them.
Killing them off.
And bees are foragers, so they travel within a limited radius of where their hives are too. So you know that if you're using less pesticides locally, that
There are two things that I worry about. One is with the organic revolution in lawn care. There's a lot more clover and flowering activity that happens in the lawn. If somebody is spraying a pesticide while those clover are blooming, that's trouble. You're really going to take a hit on the bees there. Simply cut the grass first, then spray. Or choose an alternative product like a cedar oil. The cedar oil is actually used inside of hives to take care of pests that bother the bees in their hives, certain types of beetles and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure, so it's not harmful to them, but it's very effective on ticks. It's also effective on mosquitoes. So cedar oil for tick spray.
Okay, does that mean, and again, another question that's just coming up in this dialogue, does that mean that if you want to have your backyard, your garden sprayed for ticks, we should actually ask the people that are spraying, the organic company that comes and sprays, are you using cedar oil? And if they say no, can we can we ask? Do you have cedar? Do you know to use it?
I think you always gotta ask your company
You should
what
know.
they're spraying
Okay.
with, no matter what, if it's tick control, deer repellent, or, any type of fungicide, you wanna be involved on what product they're using, because there's a variety of products around, and maybe you wanna be, you have to be more concerned and be on the safe side.
For more tips and advice on eco-friendly landscapes, please refer to Green Earth Landscaping in AtHome's March-April 2016 issue.